Let's get ready for Monday Mortgage Minute with your hosts, Tom McNamara and Bruce Woodburn.
All right, Monday.
Yep, it is Monday.
I got to tell you, man, I'm getting a lot of folks asking me about updates on the whole property tax relief bill that's been proposed. And, I try to keep up with it, but it's a little complicated. And the way that government works, it's no wonder nobody knows what's going on. Can you kind of break down where are we right now? And then I want to come up with really what is the position and what should we be doing about this? How will it benefit? How will it hurt? So let's talk about each one of these bills. I know there's 3 of them out there, the HJR 1F. And let's start with that.
Sure. So first of all, just to be clear, HJR 1F is what became Amendment 3, right? So it is HJR 1F is a proposal to change the Constitution, which requires an amendment to the Constitution, which requires a public vote, 60% or more, right? So 60% of us Floridians need to vote for that bill to pass. Okay.
If we want
the other two, SB 4F and HB 1325, are both already passed.
1329. I think.
Oh, you wrote 1325.
Yeah,
it is 1329. You're correct. Yeah. So both of them have passed. Okay. They're both already law, whether Amendment 3 passes or not. Okay. Now, SB 4F is kind of the administrative side of the amendment. Okay. So when the amendment passes, it changes the Constitution, changes some language around how much taxable value is exempted from property taxes. It sets the caps. It's going to adjust the cap for homestead property. It's going to adjust the exemption rather, and now it's going to index it to inflation. So unlike the last time when it passed at 50 grand and it's been stuck at 50 grand for 20 years. Now, when it goes to 250, it's going to then be indexed to inflation. So every year it'll go up by some percentage CPI, right? The SB4F is the administrative side of that. That tells lawmakers and the administrators how to implement those changes, along with some other changes.
Okay, now that's already passed. That's the law. Is that
correct? Correct. So one of the things that does, and this gets really deep into the weeds, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but there's a thing called the rollback rate. So if you've ever gotten a property tax bill, you see 3 numbers on there. You see what you paid last year. See proposed for this year, and then there's one in the middle called the rollback rate. And what that is it says if your millage rate stayed the same and the taxable value went up, what would be your tax bill, right? Because your taxable value is going to go up and down, mostly up, just naturally, right?
Your values increase.
And the budget's going to be the budget, right? So it kind of shows you that median number, and it doesn't have any teeth. It doesn't do anything. It's supposed to give you information. Well, what it does now, the rollback rate is in order for your county commissioners or city commissioners to raise your millage, they now have to have a super majority to go above the rollback rate by, I believe it's 10%. So they can go above it a little bit, but if they want to go
60% though, correct?
But I mean, so it forces them to actually vote harder, right? And, a lot of times you see those votes in those commissions, they're 50-50, 55-45, right? So you have to get more commissioners on board, which means you usually have to make a little bit more compromise, right? That's the whole idea there. Or if as a commission you are going to vote for it, you're going to vote hard, and your citizens are going to hold you to the fire, or at least they should be.
Okay. Then we've got HB 1329.
Yeah, so HB 1329 it's interesting. It forces the cities and counties to be more transparent about their revenue and all their expenses.
It makes them justify where they're coming up with the money.
Yeah, not only where they're coming up with the money, but specific buckets. Like they're going to have to share on not just like fire costs X millions. No, they're going to have to break down fire. Like we're paying the fire chief this much. We're paying the deputy fire chief this much. We painted a fire truck. It cost this much. They have to break the budget down super deep, which they haven't had to do.
Like any other company has to do.
That's right. And they also have to go through an exercise every year where they have to reduce their budget by 10%. Now, it doesn't force them to reduce their budget, but it says if you had to, what would that look like? And so now,
even if they're after more money and they want to do another assessment, they want to bill us more, before they do that, they have to go through this motion to determine if they even could save money now instead of collecting more money.
they don't even have to go through the motion of seeing if they could. They have to do it. So it's like, if you had to, what would you do? Because now you have to justify not doing that and doing more. So they're really handcuffing and forcing the cities to evaluate their budgets, not from a, well, it's just how it's always been, to, no, this is real. And these are things that we can't do without, right? And so it just makes it a little bit harder. Is it going to fix all the problems with local government? Heck no, man. There's way too many problems in there, but it does shine a little bit more of a light on them. So getting back to HJR 1F, which is now Amendment 3 that we're all going to get to vote on November 3rd, I believe.
Yes, November 3rd.
So what that does is it raises the current non-school only exemption from 50,000 to 150,000 in 2027, and then to 250,000 in 2028. Okay. That's only for homesteads, right? Which is roughly 36 to 38% of Florida homes are actually homesteaded, right? Because we have a lot of second homes, vacation homes, and we have a lot of rentals, right? So our percentage is a little bit higher of those versus homesteads. And, it's estimated to cost the counties across the state, give or take, about $30 billion, I think, which is significant. It's a lot of money.
Well, how does that save us money? And what, have you looked at any numbers on generally what percentage? Because, I was thinking 35 to 45% of your homestead, of your tax bill, if you are homesteaded, would be eliminated. Is that about right?
Well, it depends on your home value, right? If and I know we don't experience this in Central Florida very much, but there's a lot of homes in Florida that are valued under $250,000, right? Okay. And so those go to zero, right? The person that's paying today taxable value of 180, 220, whatever,
don't have anything but school taxes, and
their bill goes to zero on the non-school side. They still pay school taxes, and they still pay any non-ad valorem assessment.
Yep.
So that's
meaning that, for folks listening, the non-ad valorem would be like your sewage, water, garbage collection, things of that. Lighting.
So there's some that have MBSUs. I don't remember what that stands for, but it's a like a fire fee, right? And those are non-ad valorem. So there are other fees that some jurisdictions have. There's Levy County has a ton of fees, right?
It's interesting because I think they can raise fees easier than they can adjust these millage rates and do things. I think this fee, that may be a backdoor for them to make some extra money if some of this does get cut.
It is a sneaky way for them to raise funds, but there are some handcuffs on that. There always have been, right? So for instance, the fire fee, it has to be 100% justified by the fire costs, by the expenses, and it can only go to fire. So they cannot say, hey, everybody's fire fee just went up to $1,000 and then just sweep that into the general fund. It's illegal. They cannot do it.
Got it. Okay, good.
So,
good.
Yeah, that's always been the case. That's not new, right? And right now they can only assess a fee that has a direct result, a direct impact to your property value. Right.
Okay.
So they can't just randomly say, hey, we need to add a new library, so we're going to charge a library fee, because that doesn't directly impact the value of your property. Having a fire system available does, right?
Absolutely. So now, I haven't seen, even though we're coming into the primaries, I haven't really seen anyone pushing this bill along right now. And I know it's not what DeSantis have originally designed it. Okay.
Correct.
But he was going to completely eliminate property taxes. I think it was for homestead, but it might even been for all taxes.
No, he was only homestead.
But at this date, he's looked back and he's gone, wait a minute, you guys have hacked this doggone thing up. I'm still going to vote for it, but it's not one I'm going to go out there and put my name on. because
Correct.
it's not the one that I presented. But I think he's wrong. I think he should put his name on it. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm going to tell you I don't think I am. I don't think by making this initial cut, if we can get it voted in 60%, I don't think that they're going to have to lay off fire departments. I don't think they're going to lay off police. I don't think any of that stuff's going to happen. And I saw a lady on the news that's running for Congress, and she was going, and they're going to have to lay off teachers. I'm like, it doesn't even affect the teachers. That's actually protected in this one. So
Correct.
I think that the news out there is fear. Again, it's always fear gets people to do things, right? The fear is that we're going to have to lay off police department and fire department. I don't think that's going to happen. So here I'm voting yes. And here's why. I think that if we can eliminate our homestead property tax by say 35%, okay, I'm good with that. Now, then we go a year or so and we go, well, wait a minute. We haven't had to lay off any police or fire department. Let's go to the next step. And now let's go do school taxes, or let's do something else that cuts it even more.
Sure,
and I think that we could get closer to that original, but you'd have time to say, hey, it's working or it's not working. Right.
Yeah. I mean, if especially with these additional bills, the 1329 that forces them to be honest and transparent about their budgets and their revenue, right? Because then we can actually see like, hey, and there's going to be cities and counties that have a tough time with some of this. City of Oviedo is 48% of their revenue comes from homestead property taxes.
Wow.
Right. And they're already short of paying for their fire department. So in next year's budget, they don't have enough money estimated coming in on revenue to cover the fire department. Fortunately, they have some excess capital from prior years that they're going to be able to fill that gap with, but that only lasts so long, right? That's like we're going to take our rainy day fund down. So they're actually proposing, the mayor, I'll give it to her, they're proposing to merge Oviedo's fire department into Seminole County.
That might be an idea too, but there's also going to be ways that maybe they're not collecting the right taxes from the right people. Maybe there's other businesses that could be taxed a little bit more. And listen, I'm all about business too, so I don't like being overtaxed as a business owner, but maybe there are some small little incremental things that a city like that could do to be able to offset it.
Absolutely. Yeah. They can up permit fees. There's a lot of things that they can do to increase revenue that wouldn't directly impact taxpayers. I think for me, the biggest thing is I don't mind paying for things that help me, right? And help my neighbors. They don't have to help me directly. If things that help my neighbors,
they make it better for us to live.
Right. But what I'm against is, and I use this in a lot of my videos when I talk about this, is I don't like to be held hostage every year.
I agree.
For that money, right? Because what happens if you don't pay your property taxes?
Well, they're going to foreclose on your house.
They're going to do a tax lien sale, foreclose on your house, and poof, you're out, right? And so every year you are held hostage to that amount of money. Now, fortunately for me, I've owned my home for a long time and my tax base is pretty low compared to if somebody bought my house today. If you're facing a 7, 10, 15, I've had viewers come on and tell me they have $25,000 tax bills. I mean, it just gets ridiculous at some point. It's like you have to pay 25 grand just to keep your house. It just gets a little bit out of hand. So to me, that's my moral reason to be against it. Not so much that I don't think I should have to pay for things that I get. Right. Yeah. I don't think I should have a gun held to my head.
I agree.
To lose my house.
I agree.
Now, here's something really interesting. So today's the 27th. There's the lawsuit is going to get a hearing in 2 days. So on Wednesday, because there's a lawsuit against this amendment, right?
I thought there's several of them.
There's 3. They're all basically the same thing. They're all about the language and how it's presented, which I kind of agree with, right? So ballot language is supposed to be neutral. And so when they say things like save homes from excessive taxation, well, that's not neutral. I can agree with it. It's just not neutral. Neutral is, hey, we're proposing to raise the exemption. That's neutral. So what I
Right.
think is going to happen with these lawsuits is that it's got to happen quickly, because it's going to be the 29th of July. So it'll be the 30th before we get a ruling, probably. Hopefully there won't be any appeals BS, right? They can just make a ruling and go with it. I think they're going to be forced to change the language that appears on the ballot. I don't think that's a big deal. I think they should already have it rewritten. I think if somebody was smart, they've already done it, because if they haven't done it, they're going to have to, and they're going to have to do it quick, because I think it's August 18th.
Well, I'd be curious to know what the language actually looks like that they're proposing.
Gosh,
We
I've read it.
We can cover that on another one. But
I've read it before, and it's long. So they're supposed to be limited to 75 words, and it's quite a bit longer. So they gave it an exception for that. But
two or three double negatives in there just to throw you off a little bit.
Yeah. So again, they're going to have to rewrite it. I think they need to do it quickly, because if they don't do it by August 18th, they won't be able to get it on the mail-away ballots, right?
I see.
Yeah, and it's got to be printed, right? So, they've got to be able to get it to the printer in time to say, okay, go print, however many millions of ballots we need. And so,
well, I don't see anything wrong with making sure the language is correct.
I don't either.
Before it goes out.
I don't either.
I mean, I don't think anybody opposes that.
Now, the lawsuits aren't saying specifically, we only want you to rewrite it. The lawsuits want it thrown out. But the alternative is, okay, you want it thrown out because of the language. We'll just fix the language. I think a reasonable result is going to be the amendment passed. We can fix the language.
I want to share with people listening out there to be open-minded about this, because it was a grandiose a proposal from the beginning. When it first came out, I went, there ain't a chance in hell we're going to get rid of our property taxes. But you know what? The further and the more that we look into this, there is an opportunity to do this. And I think you're right that we are held hostage. Does that mean that we shouldn't pay taxes? No. I mean, we're a country that has good police and fire, and we have our roads taken care of, and you got stoplights. And yeah, I mean, there's things that we have to be able to conduct ourselves in a civilized manner. The fact of the matter is that I don't think that it is being audited close enough to be able to protect the citizens, because the average person out there has got no clue as to how these cities and counties are coming up with their budgets. Government's isn't any better.
It's not even just the average person. It's pretty much everybody. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm some advanced thinker about this stuff, but I've really dug into, I did a deep dive into Orange County's budget. I just did a deep dive into Seminole County's budget. Next month, I'm going to do a deep dive into Levy County's budget. And I picked them because it's like large, medium,
they're an outlier. Yeah, they're an outlier.
And it opened my eyes. Yeah, and it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Right? Like, I didn't know how it all worked. I thought it was one big fat checkbook, and it's not, right? And so their hands are already tied on a lot of things. And I think maybe some changes could be made to those rules. Maybe, like tourism taxes, for instance, right? They have to be spent on things that promote and justify tourism. That's why we have, the Dr. Phillips Center, and we have, the new soccer stadium and all those kind of things. Those come around from tourist taxes because they can't be spent on anything else. Right. Well, what if we could siphon off 10% of the tourist taxes to fund something else? Right. I mean, again, I don't think I want it all swept out, but what if we could use it to fund something else? Right. Homeless programs, things like that. By the way, Orange County spends $190 million a year on homeless.
190 a year?
$190 million a year.
I mean, I donate to a lot of these homeless societies.
Well, that has nothing to do with that's just the county.
What I'm saying is, what is the county coming up with? Like, where are they? They're not housing anybody.
I think they run some shelters and stuff. I haven't dug into the details of it.
Well, we should get into that, because that's a lot. That's a lot. I have a line item on that. Yeah, that's a lot of money, and I see a lot of homeless sitting out here at my intersection at Fairbanks and I-4 almost every day.
And listen, we want to help those people, right? We do. But I don't know that the county spending $190 million seems to be doing anything. So maybe there's a better way for them to spend that money. Maybe. I don't know.
Another thing is, and this is another topic, and this is our veterans. I was watching a program the other day where this charitable company came up and they're training veterans to become truck drivers, right?
Yes.
They're getting beautiful. It's called Freedom Ride or something like that. But I thought, why doesn't our military, there's so many people that are homeless and in military, and now if you lose a job, you get out of the military and you don't have a job, you got a lot of things going against you. Then you're starting to pump back some booze and some drugs. The next thing you know, your life's screwed. But why don't we get these people into programs right away through the military? In their last 3 to 6 months in the military, they should be training to be back into society. I don't know why we do that, but you know what? That's why I'm not president.
Yeah, well, me being former military, I can't tell you get some awesome training in the military. I don't care what you do. There's awesome training in there. There's great discipline in there. If you follow the programs, the people that come out of there, and aren't prepared to be in society. And there's a bunch of people that went through combat and PTSD. That's a completely different thing than just not being prepared to live in society, right? Cool. These people over here they gave everything, and we need to help them. The people that are just getting out and deciding not to do anything, that's a completely different set of people. Really.
Well, we can't put anybody in one box, that's for sure. But I do think that we need to do more for our veterans and military.
100% on either side, whether it's just that they're struggling or that they are really struggling, right?
Every bit of it. Well, listen, that we covered a lot of ground. I really wanted to get up to speed on what exactly was going on with the tax relief, but I am still going to say I'm voting yes for it at this point, but I can't wait to see what happens with the new language. We'll bring everybody up to speed on if that language does impact you and how it impacts you. And we'll go from there. Thanks, Tom McNamara. And he can always be reached on his YouTube channel at Florida Insider, right?
Florida Real Estate Insider.
There you go. At Florida on YouTube. And that's Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger. Join us now. Make sure you subscribe. We try to keep you guys informed. Have a great day, Mr. McNamara. Thank you.
Have a good one, Bruce.